So it's a real pleasure to talk about this new product, CuniQue, which, like the name implies, is very unique. You know, there's a lot of products that exist out there, but among all these products, very few products are what I would consider foundational products, meaning that they use ingredients that have been there for thousands of years. And we may have science on these ingredients. So the science may be very interesting, but to me, what speaks volume, and to me, in a way, the strongest message is that if these ingredients have been used for thousands of years and they're still used today, that means that there's a reason for it. And these are ingredients that have proven use by humans in proven benefits for health. And one of those is curcumin, which obviously comes from, or is one of the key ingredients in a recipe called the golden milk, which I am sure many people in Malaysia have heard about. It's outside of Malaysia or India, maybe a little bit less, but it's a drink or a beverage that is made out essentially of curcumin blended with some cinnamon, some ginger, some milk. And it is used to fortify the body, to give for stamina, energy, for recovery, for all kinds of overall benefits in the body. And CuniQue has been based to a large extent on this foundational formulation that has been there for centuries. And then it's more than that. So that's what we will go through today. We're talking about CuniQue. What is important here is to recognize, like I mentioned just before, that curcumin has been used for thousands of years. So that by itself is a real proof of its efficacy on health. It is very well known. It comes from India originally. It has been used in the region. Right now it is grown in Thailand, for example, in the whole region. But it's basically coming from India, and it's very much of an Asian product. It has been used historically for its color, but as part of Ayurvedic medicine, the benefits for health are considerable and have been recognized for a long time. So if we look in Ayurveda, curcumin has been used in cuisine for cooking. Sure, everybody knows about curry. It's been used in medicine, essentially Ayurvedic medicine. It's been used in daily life and also in religious practice. And I think the one that is probably the most recognized in India is when a baby is born, the baby's head is shaved, and then we apply a paste of turmeric, which obviously is curcumin, contains curcumin. So they apply a paste of curcumin or turmeric on the head, which essentially acts as an antibiotic for the fine cuts that could be there on the skin of the head. But historically, it is to symbolize that through the purity and the power of curcumin, this practice can eliminate all the past impressions from past life. It purifies this young child and for its life. So again, just to show the presence of curcumin in the culture in Asia is fairly significant. So let's jump now a little bit more into its use for health. There's essentially two main benefits for curcumin, which by themselves then multiplies, or I should say, leads to other secondary benefits, and they are many, and we will go through them. But let's keep in the back of our minds that the two main key benefits is antioxidant and inflammation. But it is an antioxidant and inflammation in a very unique way, meaning that if you take a test tube and you test, for example, vitamin C, if you test vitamin E, a lot of these known antioxidants, they work in the test tube, but they don't work from a, how could I say, not a molecular standpoint, because they do work from a molecular standpoint, but they don't necessarily interfere in biochemical reactions in the body that would be specific for different events linked to inflammation. Curcumin acts in a very precise way, almost in a pharmacological way, in very specific aspects of inflammation taking place, for example, in your arteries, in the cardiovascular system, in your brain. And so we'll talk more about these a little bit later, but keep in mind that the main benefits of curcumin is essentially its antioxidant and its anti-inflammatory properties. So here are the main ingredients that we have in the formula. We have a proprietary formula of curcumin called NovaSOL. We have BioPerine, which is an extract of black pepper, mixed fruit juice, ginger, cinnamon, monk fruit for flavors. But of all of these, the one that really have are the actives in the product are the NovaSOL, curcumin, BioPerine, ginger, and cinnamon. So I will focus on these. So let's start with the curcumin. The formula that is used here is NovaSOL. So before we talk about curcumin, let's spend a little bit of time talking about NovaSOL, because of all the curcumin available in the marketplace, it is a very, very unique form of curcumin. So I have a small video here. So let's look at it to understand what is a liposome, because NovaSOL is a liposomal form of curcumin. So a liposome is, if you take, for example, vitamin C, it's not absorbed very easily, or other compounds that are water soluble, they do not penetrate membranes easily. Other compounds like curcumin, oil soluble, also do not penetrate membrane easily. So we need to cover them with a lipid layer to transform this molecule or this clump of curcumin, to transform it into a vesicule that is going to penetrate cellular membrane very easily and tremendously increase the bioavailability or the absorption of curcumin. That's what we have here with NovaSOL in this liposomal form. So if we look at it, of its ability to be soluble, there's another very interesting video here. Let me jump to that one right away. So we have here to the left, we have curcumin put into water, and we can see that as we mix it, it does not dissolve very well. That's how it would essentially be absorbed into your body. Very, very little absorption. But if you make it into a liposome and then you put it into water, it's solubilized much, much more easily, and it can then be absorbed much more easily. So again, that is just to show the impact of that form of curcumin. And last video here to show an animation of how compounds like curcumin are absorbed. There you go, this will work. Okay, so here's a video that it's an animation that shows how vitamin C or other compounds that dissolve in water can penetrate. How other compounds that are oil soluble like curcumin will not penetrate very easily. So although you may have a lot in the blood, very little will actually pass and go into the blood. But if you can turn this curcumin into a liposome that is much more bioavailable, that will penetrate the membrane, cellular membrane, then you can see that what is essentially in the digestive tract, most of it is going to pass and be absorbed in the blood. So by taking the same amount of curcumin in the form of a liposomal formulation like NovaSOL, then you increase the bioavailability and the absorption of curcumin. And that's the reason why this form has been adopted in the formula. So if we look at the actual absorption, and this is coming from a study that looked at various forms of curcumin available in the marketplace, and if we specifically looked at the NovaSOL form, we can see that there is an absorption that is far superior to other forms of curcumin, about 185 times more bioavailable than natural curcumin. I want to draw your attention to another form of curcumin here, which is when it is blended with BioPerine, because it also increases the absorption about 20 times. So what we have here in this formulation, and I'll come back to that in a second, is that we amplify the absorption of NovaSOL that is already absorb much more than just natural curcumin. We further increase its absorption by BioPerine, which is a concentrated of piperine, which is this hot component that we have in black pepper. So what we have here, this picture kind of summarizes what we have with NovaSOL. Just a little bit of NovaSOL is the equivalent of about 185 times more curcumin in its native form. So it is a much greater absorption. We have BioPerine for one reason, is that it boosts the bioavailability of curcumin about 2,000%, so 20 times. So when we look at the overall, also BioPerine to mention, we'll come back to that a little bit later, aside from its effect on curcumin, it also increases the absorption of resveratrol. So we'll talk about this a little bit later, but when you take CuniQue and then you couple it with resveratrol, then you've got a very, very interesting synergy of these two ingredients, meaning curcumin and resveratrol, but you also have in the background the BioPerine that will also increase the absorption of both of these components, meaning the resveratrol and the curcumin. So if we look at what we have with this whole complex here, meaning curcumin concentrated included into a liposome coupled with BioPerine, here's what we've got. We've got in turmeric about 3% curcumin. So we concentrate this to about 95% curcumin. So which is a concentration of about roughly 33 times. Then we take this form, sorry, not 95, but 98. Now we take this form of curcumin, we turn it into liposomal form, NovaSOL, and we've got about 185 times more bioavailability. And then we add to this BioPerine that has been shown to increase the bioavailability of curcumin about 20 times, which means that if we can make this whole computation, it gives roughly about an increase of about 120,000 times more bioavailable, more absorbed than natural curcumin. Of course, here there's limitation. I'm not telling you that there is 120,000 times more bioavailable, because at some point, you know, you can absorb everything that you took in terms of curcumin, and that's the limit of it. My point here is simply that we have packed in this formulation everything that could be done to really maximize the absorption of curcumin. I doubt that there's any product out there on the marketplace that would provide a higher bioavailability for curcumin. So now let's look at curcumin itself, what it does. As I mentioned before, if you look at a lot of these benefits, so help relieve arthritic pain, help stomach ulcers, I mean, all of those benefits that you see, they're all linked to some extent to its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. Even when we talk about the benefits of curcumin for depression, there's a direct link between systemic inflammation and depression. We won't have the time to go into it right now, but understand that the basics for all these benefits is the anti-inflammatory properties of curcumin. Let's look at three more specifically. When we say that it reduces inflammation in the joint, this is through a benefit that is in addition to just its pure anti-inflammatory properties in the test tube. It's what I was referring to before. It does interact into the secretion of very specific cytokines that are involved into inflammation. So it is an additional benefit when we talk about the effects of curcumin on joints. There are benefits also on reducing cholesterol. And again, here, it is a specific effect in the liver on cholesterol, but also in terms of the susceptibility of cholesterol to be subjected to free radicals in your arteries, which we all know is the cause, not the cause, but it is really the culprit with cholesterol. Cholesterol by itself is not a problem. It's when cholesterol gets oxidized that it becomes a problem. Well, curcumin helps prevent the oxidation of cholesterol into the arteries. And the last point, which is very interesting in terms of its support of brain function, curcumin has been associated, because of its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, to cognitive benefits, and more specifically, there's a lot of studies now that are being done with the ability of curcumin to remove microscopic deposits in the brain that are called, I forget the name right now, they're entanglements put into the brain that are typical of what Alzheimer's is. They call them if it comes back, I will tell you. They're a form of plaque in the brain, and it's typical of Alzheimer's. It starts very slowly, early in a person's life, and they accumulate over time. Well, curcumin has been known and shown to be able to help eliminate this accumulation of amyloid plaque that we have in the brain. So again, the demonstration has not been done completely here, but just to say, a lot of research is being done in the use of curcumin to just help maintain brain health as we age. Two other things, its benefits on the arteries and all the cardiovascular system. We talked about its effect on cholesterol, but there's a lot of link through this to overall cardiovascular benefits. But to me, one of the most interesting benefits is with what is called advanced glycation end product. So in a nutshell, what is that? When you have, when you cook, for example, chicken with honey or anything that is sweet, sugar, brown sugar, any kind of type of syrups, there is a process called caramelization. It makes it a very delicious dish. It's when sugar binds through heat, binds through protein. This product or this process that is very good in your dish is not good at all in your body. You do not want to have sugar binding to protein into your bloodstream because it creates what is called glycation end products, and they have been shown to interfere with a lot of different processes in your body. It affects with a lot of your physiology. This is the main consequence of people having diabetes. By having higher level of glucose in the bloodstream, that level of glucose increases the production of these glycation end products, and it leads to a lot of the consequence associated with diabetes. So if we look at just a few of them, this is the story. So you get these advanced glycation end products. They have been associated with problems of the brain, cardiovascular problems, arthritis, cancer. It has been associated with female infertility, male infertility, neuropathy, kidney problems. Everything that you know about the consequence of diabetes over time is because of these glycation end products. If that happens during pregnancy, it also leads to potential problems with the pregnancy itself and with the infant. So I'm not telling you here with all these medical terms that curcumin is going to prevent the development of all of these. All I'm saying here is that if we go back to this slide here, curcumin has been shown to inhibit the formation of these end glycation products, meaning that we're all exposed to glucose. We all developed, or many of us develop over time, elevated blood glucose level, some level of pre-diabetes. So curcumin is something that is good to add every day in our diet to simply boost the ability of the body to keep all of the formation of these products in check. So now let's go to the next big ingredient here, black pepper. So we talked about having BioPerine, or piperine. BioPerine is the brand. Piperine, which is this hot component of black pepper, it is used in CuniQue to enhance the absorption of curcumin, but it has benefits of its own. You may have seen on the marketplace a cream that you apply in your joint that will contain black pepper because it does have one characteristic. It dilates capillaries or blood vessels. When you dilate, it increases the size of a blood vessel, you enhance the flow of the blood in these capillaries, which means better delivery of oxygen, better delivery of nutrients, cells, better flushing of these tissues, better cleansing of tissues. There are a lot of benefits that come from increasing blood flow into the fine vasculature. When we look at actual studies, we can see that it helps reduce inflammation, helps support glucose level, and then everything else that is associated here, pain, digestive system, cardiovascular system, with this enhanced circulation into fine blood vessels. Another interesting one, ginger. Essentially, actually, ginger has almost the same benefits through a completely different mechanism of action or different compounds in ginger, but the benefits are very similar to black pepper. It doesn't act by increasing blood flow, but it does have significant anti-inflammatory properties, very much so in joints, but very much so in the digestive system. It also supports good cardiovascular, good blood circulation through the cardiovascular system. And the last one, which is I think is very interesting in this formulation. So whoever decided to include cinnamon in this formulation is a very, very good move, given that it was also part of the golden milk, which was the traditional formula in India. But cinnamon here is also helping for inflammation, is also helping for digestion, helping probiotics, antibacterial. But to me, its greatest benefits we all have, just like we should have a little curcumin every day, we should have ginger every day in our diet, we should also have cinnamon every day in our diet, because it provides this sort of background antibacterial effect that suppresses the growth of unfriendly bacteria, helping to develop a terrain, a digestive system that supports the growth of friendly bacteria. So cinnamon is something to have every day in our life. So that essentially, I went through now the main formula CuniQue. So it brings you all these benefits. I hope you can appreciate that it is really an outstanding product. We talked before about the synergy between Reserve and CuniQue, and it has to do because of curcumin and resveratrol. If you go in the library of the National Institute of Health in America and you put resveratrol into a search, you will see roughly 14,000 articles showing up, showing various aspects of the documentation of resveratrol on health. If you do the same thing for curcumin, you will get roughly about 17,000 articles that are about curcumin and its health benefits, or various aspects linked to the research of the benefits of curcumin. Now, if you put resveratrol and curcumin, you will get about 1,000 articles that are coming up showing the synergy or the combination of these two ingredients. Now, all these studies are not all about the combination of these ingredients. Sometimes they're tested side by side to see which one would be the best. But if we look at combining two together, we do have very interesting of these studies. So you can read some of them. So curcumin and resveratrol for Alzheimer's. Go through the list here. The combination of curcumin itself has been studied for its health benefits, meaning that the benefit of blending the two is superior to the benefit of just any one of them separately. So when you take CuniQue, take resveratrol, or take Reserve with it, this is really an amazing synergy. Now, another part of CuniQue, which honestly, to me, it's a very impressive product. I wish I was the one who developed this formula. It's very well thought out. We see in this formula that we have ingredients known in Ayurvedic medicine, but also in Chinese medicine, in many medicine of Asia, as being heating elements or cooling elements, yin and yang elements. And you don't want to have too much of one or the other. So if you want something that is very balancing for the body, you want to be able to balance the heating element, the yang, with the yin element, the cooling element. And that formula has exactly this. So we have all the yang element, the heating components, the ginger, the curcumin, the pepper, the cinnamon. We also have in there the mango as the fruit, but all of these are heating. And then we have at the same time blended in there cooling elements. We have coconut juice powder, we have monk fruit, just cooling, aloe, mangosteen powder. So all these elements are cooling. So by blending the two together, we get a very, very balanced product. So again, I know I've said it many times, but the person who developed, the team that developed this product did a very, very good job. Of the product that I know here on the marketplace and in the Jeunesse line, this to me is really a star product. So in my mind, you basically blend Reserve with CuniQue and one sachet of Revita Blue, and you've got something here that is bound to bring to the body amazing health benefits. So I'm repeating myself, but let me say it again. To me, CuniQue is a formula that I would have liked to develop. To me, it's a wonderful formulation. Probably one of the strongest formulation out there in the marketplace. Definitely one of the key products in the Jeunesse product line. So anyone who takes every day CuniQue, Reserve, and one sachet of Revita Blue, you are bound to see very, very interesting health benefits and to age with health and radiance. So that's what I wanted to share with you. So